Wednesday night or Thursday morning here on Stranded in Pittsburgh. A totally not special episode at all. Not only because you just saw Jack dancing, or potentially missed the beginning of that song because I don't think I made it live. I think I was just previewing it. But we're here once again to remind you that this is a professional podcast after our 1 week hiatus. But that's better than the 2 week hiatus we'll be on after this because of things. But Jack, why don't you take away the rest of the intro here on this edition of Stranded in Pittsburgh?
Well, I'll take away the rest of the intro because you know what, Nick? You said it wasn't, but it actually happens to be, as I check my watch, that I don't have. It is a special episode because this is Nick's bachelor party. That's right. You thought podcasting couldn't get any worse, but we hit a new low today.
Uh-huh.
No,
yeah, I thought
this is Nick's last podcast as a single man. So, ladies, any interested parties out there, now's your last chance to get those emails and requests in because you're right. I've been spreading the message on threads for the last 2 weeks. You're going to be auctioning off Nick's last 48 hours as a single man in a location he doesn't know. It's like a CIA black site, but it's a little better.
I don't think I'd say that I'm single right now, though.
Oh, well, it's
when you get married, it's usually because you're in a committed relationship already, unless you're on a weird TLC show.
Well, I mean that's the Western perspective. Some people have differing perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could have worded it better, but you get the idea. So, for $14.99 an hour, 48 hours.
Am I a prostitute?
No. There's no contract involved other than that you get to spend some quality time with our
it's a handshake agreement. That's a lot more legitimate.
Gracious host and founder. And don't worry, it's completely legal because trust me.
Okay, thanks. What do we actually have planned? If we're going to advertise this as the bachelor party episode, is there anything happening that's bachelor party-esque?
I can play you a song.
I mean, the women that you were just trying to market to might want to go home with you after they hear you playing Wonderwall on the roof.
See, that's the thing.
The crickets at Jack's house are going ape shit, by the way.
It's not me. Is it me?
It might be you, but whoever it is.
So I can hear them. So it's not me.
I can hear them too. That's terrifying. But anyway, a lot going on in Pittsburgh sports land. Got the Pirates making moves, Steelers practicing with pads, Penguins doing things. It's definitely Jack with the crickets, and he's flipping out now, and his mic's muted as he's ranting about how embarrassing it is. This is incredible. We're on video, by the way, so you can watch all of this live. If you're listening on Spotify, you can indeed listen to all of this happen live, or you can watch video on Spotify now as well. But thanks for joining us. If you've made it this 4-minute time frame in and you aren't saying yeah to hell with this show, they've lost their way. We never had a way. But anyway, let's start with the Steeler way. The Pittsburgh Steelers practicing with pads on. Things are going great. Every receiver they have is going to be the next Jerry Rice. And it's a great time to be a fan of the old black and gold, Ethan.
It definitely is. I mean, there's so much hype surrounding this team. And just through the week of training camp, there's even more hype surrounding it. Everyone's going crazy about the Steelers and, just how they've performed so far throughout this first week and a half of training camp. But guys, it's still early, but they're looking pretty good. Signed Quan Alexander this past week. It's a good depth signing piece for them. Guy that can make some immediate impact defensively for them. So, as always, I mean, I don't like to look into training camp that much. Obviously, we're going to get some game action next week as the Steelers travel down to Tampa Bay, and they'll get you their first in-game preseason action next week. So that's going to be more of a telltale sign to see where these guys are at week one. But from what I've heard from and what I've seen on, social media, and that the offensive line it has some more work to go, but so far so good. We knew it was going to take some more time for that group to gel, but also, for the most part, it's looked pretty good for the O-line so far. So overall, it's still early, still a lot more to go, and things could happen down the road that could shift some things for this Steelers team. But overall, so far so good.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see that George Pickens clip circulating, because I think he was slept on a lot of last year. And it's even cooler because of the interview he gave where he said he felt like he was the best receiver in the league, which a lot of people wrote off as cocky. But as a lot of people have pointed out, I think there's a lot more potential than when when Chase Claypool referred to himself as a top 5 receiver in the league. I feel like George Pickens could actually reach the goals he's setting for himself, or what he believes he already is. By the way, Joey Porter Jr. had really good defense on that play, and that's insane that George Pickens made that catch. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen, go find it. You had to have seen it, though, at this point, unless you've been trying to avoid it, because I opened up Twitter or X or Threads or whatever it's called now, and I saw it about 12 tweets in a row. Posts.
Well, Threads is more of a meta side of the road.
Yeah. I got you. What are your takeaways, Jack O'Brien, of the Steelers practicing and everyone's going crazy?
My takeaways are that I love the Quan Alexander signing, because anyone you can pick off that Jets defense from last year is going to be a good defender, especially someone in the middle of the field. He's a solid guy. He locks down his zones. He's a great tackler. He does not miss a lot. I think it's really going to shore up the middle of the field. I can kind of hear the crickets coming back.
Oh, well. You don't have to mute yourself every time they...
I think that's what it is. I don't know what it is. But
just go spray some ammonia on them.
We're on a new format. We're on a new format. It's a lot of adversity, and I think we can overcome it. But, again, what I want to say is I understand we're all very excited about the potential of George Pickens' upcoming season. But all it took last year was one viral clip for everyone to say, this is a Rookie of the Year candidate, and he wasn't woven into the offensive playbook as well. But you're looking at a different situation this year, because now you have Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson to shore up the slot receiver position, and even give Pickens some reps off that wide receiver 1 role. But that should be the role he slots into. So the season that people thought that he was going to have last year, I think this is when it actually comes to fruition. He's had a whole year with Pickett in Canada to go over the playbook. He'll be incorporated in it more. They trust him more because he proved himself. Same thing that Pickett did the same thing that they did down the stretch. They both had great moments late in games towards the end of the season and almost made the playoffs. Granted, it wouldn't have been the best campaign, would have been the best postseason campaign, but they made it pretty close after a season where a lot of people had written them off. So I think the expectations that everyone originally had for Pickens last year will become reality this year. And I'm not basing this off of just a viral clip. I'm basing this off of that this is a brand new role for him to step into, and the fact that he's actually built a repertoire and a respect factor with the team.
Yeah, I agree. And, the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception there, he had the game-winning touchdown reception. And I think that was another kind of, that first viral Browns clip was early on in the season. And then, as you alluded to, he was kind of here or there. There were a lot of clips of him waving his arms around and Kenny Pickett's not looking at him, because I think Pickett was afraid to take those chances / wasn't looking deep downfield when things were going bad for his first read. But the Raider clip happening when it happened, that moment late in the season, I think kind of reminded everyone the Steelers got a dog on the wide receivers core, and it's just a matter of time before he kind of emerges. And as you said again, with Allen Robinson now joining Deontay Johnson, there's other things for defenses to think about. Then you factor in Pat Freiermuth, you factor in Calvin Austin, hopefully getting some chances this year after injury last year. I think this team, and it sounds like a really homer thing to say, I think this could be a really fun receiving core, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they weave all of these guys into it because Deontay didn't have any touchdowns last year. He's getting paid a lot of money. You got to think they're going to target Deontay or find ways to get him in the end zone. You have Allen Robinson, who had a dreadful year last year with the Rams. Granted, the whole Rams team had a dreadful year after a Super Bowl Super Bowl win. That leads me to my next point. It was a very bad hangover for them, and I hope we don't have one with my bachelor party tomorrow. There's all my thoughts. More
what are you talking about right now?
I meant the morning after tomorrow. You know what I meant. And then you have Calvin Austin, to get back to my point. He missed a whole year. He's a year behind, and George Pickens, again, has kind of shown, hey, I'm the real deal. Calvin Austin's a fast guy. He's got a lot of talent. He's going to want to prove that he's just as legit as George Pickens. So I think this receiving core is going to be really fun to watch, and they're one of the factors of this team that I think you're not only going to want to see at the beginning of the year, but the entire year. Is there a little internal competition they're making these guys really ball out, and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
I do think that with how a lot of people are disappointed with Deontay Johnson for last year and the previous qualms that he's had catching the ball here and there, once the heat's taken off of him as much as it was, because he was getting doubled a lot last year. He was supposed to be the guy as you transition into someone else taking over. With him having some heat taken off, he's still one of the premier route runners in the National Football League. He's a very agile receiver, and I think he's going to find a great role for himself on this team in the next couple of seasons, because he is getting paid that money, and you can guarantee that he's not thinking about how he didn't have any touchdowns last season either. He wants to change that, and the offense wants to change that too. So look for DJ to actually break out a little bit this year.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point that Jack brought up, is that, Johnson, looking at him this year compared to last year, there's now 3 guys that are solidified, especially Allen Robinson, who has solidified himself as, a guy that's, has that veteran experience and has, the ability to, make plays, and to have now 3 solid guys out there. There's not going to be a lot of chances to double Deontay or to double Pickens. There's going to be a lot of it's going to be spread out, and Pickett's going to have a lot of more options this year and a lot more freedom to choose and not feel pressured to make a tight throw or a tough decision or go after a double. It's going to be a lot more open, and I think that's going to bode well for the Steelers receiving core, and also having the tight ends with Freiermuth and Washington and Gentry, having all of those guys as reliable targets and options. I think that's just going to bode well even more for the receivers moving forward.
Other big news coming out of training camp comes from quarterback Corey Trice's injury. Not what the secondary needs. I think that's one of my biggest concerns with this team right now. So definitely a blow, regardless of how proven he is being a young player. I think losing depth or, potential breakout players this early, obviously not a good thing. So that's going to be a storyline to keep an eye on. And then we've been hearing a very interesting story of Darnell Washington giving TJ Watt some hell, and Mike Tomlin kind of really getting into that battle out there, saying anytime you see TJ Watt out there, I want you out there on him. Getting the rookie into things a little bit, guys.
Well, he's a big guy. You didn't see a lot of him because he was injured for a majority of Georgia's season, but he's capable of throwing his weight around, and what better practice, what better sharpening iron you can get this early on than going against
sharpening steel.
All right, fine. I missed it. I missed the cue. I missed the lowest hanging fruit of them all. All right.
You missed a wide open layup.
That's fine. I do that all the time. I can't make layups.
Not in our one-on-one game, you didn't.
No. I don't even. Yeah, but who won? Who won? 2. Anything inside the arc, anything mid-range. That was money. That was money every time. I'm a weapon. Anyways. But I think that's probably – you're looking at it – not only is Watt a Defensive Player of the Year candidate every single time he steps on the field, but he was still up there in the conversation last year, even when he was injured for a multitude of the season. this is probably the best practice that he's gotten outside of Georgia. And again, you're going up against the top 2, maybe 3 defensive players in the NFL. I think it's great for him. I think he'll be a lot better coming out of it. And you're going to see him and Freiermuth start splitting reps earlier than you would think. I mean, because instead of Gentry coming in, Washington's a big guy. Probably block and catch. And I think that's going to come into play. Now you have guys you can slot in and out. The tight end depth on this team is actually something to really keep an eye on because it's one of the best in the AFC.
And I don't like to look into this too much. I mean, obviously it's still training camp, and obviously we're only a week and a half in. But it's something to obviously keep an eye on, especially with Washington. Obviously, like Jack said, his size is unmatched, and just looking at what he's been able to do and the size that he has on him, it's it's refreshing to see that. Not refreshing, but it's nice to see someone that had all of this talk coming into after the draft and saying, this guy's going to be great. He's going to be able to do a lot of things for the team. He's going to be versatile. He's going to be able to block well, either run back block and pass block. So just to see that all kind of come to fruition and going against one of the best defensive players and one of the best linebackers and pass rushing linebackers in the league, it's definitely something really you want to see as someone that's looking at this team and looking at this depth that they have, and something that for a rookie is some very high praise, and it's something that's someone you wouldn't be looking at a rookie to be able to go against TJ Watt and do it in the way that he did. So for Washington, it's he's looking good so far, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to be able to do come preseason and till we see him in some actual game action.
Yeah, it's going to be something to keep an eye on. Something else to keep an eye on. We already did the first 3 games of the Steelers season in terms of trying to predict their wins and losses. We're saying goodbye to that. Pretend that never happened. We're going to work on something special for the Steelers season predictor where we go through every game. When will that happen? I don't know, because I have a very busy August. But we will put out some sort of Steelers schedule special. Say that 3 times fast. Triple S. And you'll want to keep an eye out for that, because in case you haven't noticed so far, we like to have a good time around here, and not just when there's a bachelor party going on. All the time. Party all the time. Just like that Eddie Murphy song. That's probably a reference very few people who are in this demographic will understand. Especially young Ethan. Jack, it looks like you want to interject, and I'm about to segue, which is why you hear the adult film transition music playing right now.
I forget what the song is, but it's the song that Prince recorded for Batman 1989. It has something to do with partying, but I can't remember the name. But it actually might be called Party All the Time.
Anyway,
did you know that Prince wrote an original song for Batman 1989? Fun stranded fact.
Jack always got some random entertainment fact every week. I think this has been a great episode, by the way.
Just to break the fourth wall. Judgment Day today.
This has been a blast. Anyway, moving on to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who had a trade deadline that surprisingly didn't piss me off. And Ethan Morrison, we'll start with you since you've actually covered the team this year. You can find a lot of his stuff on Pittsburgh Baseball now. Ethan, what do you make of this deadline and their ability to not get the fan base burning down buildings by trading Bednar or Mitch Keller?
I think it was a good deadline for the Pirates. I think they did a lot of good things in terms of getting, they were able to trade Rich Hill and G-Man Choi. We knew those guys were 2 guys that weren't going to be part of the pieces or part of the puzzle pieces for this team moving forward, and part of this group that would move forward and go on to compete in 2024. Obviously, Rich Hill was going to be a free agent after this year, so getting rid of him and being able to get some prospects from him would be great. A lot of people didn't like the trade for some reason for getting that young arm. I think Jackson Wolf, I think his name is, out of San Diego. I don't mind it. I think it was a good pickup. They got 3 prospects. One of their guys is younger, younger outfielder that's still in the complex league. So they got 3 prospects out of that, and who knows if they're going to be major parts of the pieces moving forward. But at least you got a younger guy in Jackson Wolf that will be around for a little bit longer. You might not have had Rich Hill or G-Man Choi next year, so it was good to get them, get those prospects in there. And some guys that are major league ready. Alfonso Rivas was the other piece in that trade of first baseman. I think he's 26. So you filled that void for Choi that has left. And he's hasn't hit the best, but he's filling a spot that you need dearly. And, he's hitting a little bit better than Choi in terms of average there. So looking good there. But, they also got rid of Austin Hedges for some international pool money. And, he's gotten a lot of slack. Everybody knew that he wasn't coming for his bat. But yet everyone would think that he would be able to hit over 250, it seemed like. There was so much slack for him. Yes, you could talk about,
I wanted him to hit over 2.
At least over 2. But still, his average didn't depict that at all before coming to Pittsburgh. So he's gone. Okay, whatever, but he got too much slack for him not being able to hit, even though everybody knew coming into this season that he wasn't going to be the guy to hit. He was a veteran guy that, was going to be able to help transition into Endy Rodriguez and Henry Davis coming in and being able to catch. And now he's gone, and they got some international pool money, which I didn't think they were going to be able to get a good return on him, but he's now in Texas. So that was good there. And also Rodolfo Castro getting moved to Philly for a reliever. And I'm fine with that. Rodolfo Castro, obviously not going to be one of those pieces moving forward. He struggled this year in Pittsburgh, and then even when he got sent down, he struggled in Indianapolis. So really wasn't looking good for him, and they were able to flip for a left-handed pitcher that is probably going to be a bullpen piece, not moving forward in the years to come, but also a guy to fill the void moving forward. But the big takeaways moving out of this trade deadline was you didn't get rid of the main pieces that you wanted to keep. You didn't get rid of Mitch Keller, and you didn't get rid of David Bednar. Those were the two guys you had to keep on this team. Those were the two guys. They were two of your top arms on this roster. They were only the two all-stars that were on this roster. Keeping those guys were a must. Obviously, Mitch Keller's not going to isn't going to elect and become a free agent until 2025. Bednar until 2026. Those were two guys where you had a lot of team control under. Obviously, Charrington and company were going to listen to offers from those two guys, and if they were blown away to get an insane prospect package and guys that were MLB ready, they would have bit the bullet and said, okay, we'll ship one or both of those guys off. But they're still here. They are parts moving forward to where the Pirates want them on this roster to compete. So those are the two guys that you needed to keep. Obviously, you still have the veteran presence in Kutch, and he's still on the roster as well. So you keep some of those guys around, and you keep that core group, if you will, around as well. And, moving forward, this Pirates team, if you keep those guys and you keep, McCutcheon around, who's still that veteran presence, obviously you lose guys in Santana, you lose guys in Choi and Rich Hill. Those guys were big clubhouse guys and guys that, held a lot of weight in that clubhouse. Even though you lost those guys, you still have a good core group to continue to build around and continue to move forward with as this season comes down and winds down to an end and moving forward into next season. So overall, I think a pretty good job by Charrington. You could get all that you could get from the guys that you gave away, and you were able to keep the guys that you wanted to keep and pretty much, quote-unquote, had to keep. So overall, a nice job from Charrington. And, moving forward, this team is going to get better because of it.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of what you just said. I think the biggest thing which you said was keeping Bednar and Keller on this team. I think it's been universally accepted next year's the year you start going, okay, our window's open, let's get going. That's why all the prospects are getting called up this year. But Sure, those guys are both high in value right now, especially Mitch Keller, who a year and a half ago we thought was a complete bust, waste of time, throw him out for the dogs to eat him. Maybe you can make that argument. But at the end of the day, when this window does open, you need cornerstones, and you can't finally embrace this window fully if you're getting rid of the key pieces that will play a pivotal role in the turnaround. And Bednar and Keller, I think, both are guys that the organization sees as big pieces, and the fans both see them as big pieces, and you don't want to get rid of them. As for the one-year rentals who weren't going to come back, I really don't have an issue with any of that. And Jack, I know you want to get in here and start talking about how much Rich Hill's departure is going to just ruin your mental health for a while, and I promise you get that opportunity in a few seconds here. But, we got something for Rich Hill. We got something for G-Man Choi. We got something for Rodolfo Castro. Sorry for saying I don't play for the Pirates, but you know what I'm getting at. These were not long-term solutions. Santana hurt solely because I've been a fan of him since his first Cleveland stint, and I've always liked the way he's played. He's a fun guy to watch, and it kind of stunk seeing him get dealt, but at the end of the day, I don't think he was our long-term solution. And look back from that 13-15 run, and we had a who's who of random first basemen coming through and occupying the position. Hello, Justin Morneau, Pirates legend. I mean, it's one-year rentals. We got something for them, and if one of these guys pans out, we'll say, okay, good. But if not, it's not a huge loss. I don't mind them taking chances on somebody in this regard. And as for Rodolfo Castro goes, yeah, that's kind of a weird one. Maybe he becomes one of those guys who flourishes when he's not a Pirate anymore, and we go, why would we ever get rid of him? And yes, we traded him for someone who has an 0-7 record, I believe it was. But you pointed it out, Ethan. There's really no spot for him in the future other than bench guy or utility guy. A lot of the people they've called up, and I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, there's so many people that are going to occupy and battle for these infield positions with Figueroa and Gonzalez and Triolo and Cruz and Hayes. There's just so many infielders right now with so much upside, and I don't think there was really anywhere for Castro to fall into place there. So them getting rid of him, for as minimal as the return was, I think it's something they had to do. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with how they handled things here.
Okay, I wasn't trying to interject earlier. I do have a Rich Hill eulogy, but it's my dog started coughing, like hacking up a lung, and I saw it get picked up on the mic twice, and I just immediately started. I had to get her down because she doesn't. It's okay. What? Dylan Dick is gone. All right. And I, for one, am a little sad because I don't get to see that goofy dude play baseball anymore. On the other hand, you got to return for it, which is important. Which, again, Ethan said it. Choi and Hill were not going to be here next year. There was no guarantee of that. You'd be hard-pressed to tell me they would have been here last year. The guy's a 43-year-old pitcher. Some team that has a use for that can take him because, obviously, the Pirates aren't all in right now. Sherrington said 2 months ago that this is a fourth-place team at best. We're not really pushing for the stars here. So to move guys who are solid in the rotation and solid at first base defensively, it's not that big of a deal. But the only thing that I have, and again, I'll wrap up the Rich Hill portion because I do have a question. I'm going to steal the host mantle from Nick for a minute because I have a question to pose to both of you.
At my own bachelor party, you sick freak.
I know. See, this was a surprise. This was it. I am going to miss him because, Jesus, still at 43, one of the most out there, like, diagonal releases and the stupidest sweeper that I've ever seen recently. Because it's not a lot that you see, like, Pirates players and Pirates rotation players on, like, the Pitching Ninja Twitter account. But Rich Hill's been on there more than Oviedo and Keller. Like, he is nasty. Like, the dude has some sick junk in his pocket. And for that, I tip my cap to Rich Hill being an old lefty pitcher who cannot throw fast, but just throws shit that people do not know what to do with. So I'll pour one out for Dealin' Dick. Dick Mountain.
You almost called him Rich Hill, and he said that's not going to happen.
Again, the name that I don't know why it didn't pick up steam. Cock Monster 3000. It was right there, and no one wanted it.
Dear Lord,
it's a family show.
It is.
So my question is now,
though, in the first 5 minutes.
My question is now, though. So since Santana and Choi are gone, who is going to be the everyday first baseman? Because they've been wanting to bring Davison from right field behind the plate for a while. Is it Endy?
No, absolutely. I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would bring Endy in to play, or bring Endy and put him at first base. I just don't see it. I think, he's a guy that could do well behind the plate. I think they'll have delays still up at the major league level to, supplement as a catcher and to be able to mentor those guys, because he's been up here for a year now. He's still, a young guy in terms of major league experience, but he has that experience there, and he's done a pretty good job, especially at the plate, but also behind the dish as well, especially when him and Hedges were trading out time so far. But I don't think it's going to be Endy. I don't think Endy's going to be there. Obviously, they're going to be using Connor Joe a little bit more at first base. I don't necessarily like Connor Joe at first base. I don't think he's not obviously going to be a long-term solution there, but the guy that they got from San Diego, Alfonso Rivas, he'll split time there with Joe. I think Endy's arm is just, we'll see him behind the plate, yes, but I'm still subscribing to the fact of if you work him enough in the outfield, in right field, and you get him to the point of he's not going to be, a liability out there, I don't see why you can't just leave him out in right field and let him play there, because it's obviously going to be a lot better long-term for his bat. He's going to have a lot more wear and tear on his body if he's going to be behind the plate every single day, and you already have a top prospect in India Rodriguez there at catcher, and just to have Endy and at least delay for now, and Henry Davis picking up some innings here and there behind the plate and picking up some games there behind the plate, I think that's going to be okay for them. Also, with Brian Hayes back, going back to the first base question, with Henry, I'm getting all mixed up now. With Brian Hayes back
over the Pirates.
From the IL, this is what we're going with right now. But with Brian Hayes back, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I don't know if Jared Triolo can play first at all. You can also see him. His bat's been there. He's obviously hitting into a little bit of a slump right now, but if needed, he could also be an option at first base to eat up some late innings. I don't think he would start there per se, but he would be a guy that would eat some late innings if you were to bring him into pinch hit and have him there. But overall, I don't see them bringing Endy from the catching position to first base. I just don't see it happening. I know that was talked about it when he was coming up through the system, but I just don't think. I think he's going to be a great defender and have a great bat behind the plate. So I don't see the need for him to move to first base, even with no clear answer there at first base there. I think there's just other options there that you could pull from right now and not have to use him at first base.
Get ready for the Connor Joe experiment.
It's not good. It's not good. Connor Joe at first is not good.
Ready. It reminds me a lot of Sean Rod playing first, and I won't elaborate that anymore.
Don't bring up bubblegum. But...
Penguins signed Drew O'Connor to a 2-year deal to avoid arbitration, as we now move on to Jack's happy hour during the bachelor party, where we give a nice little chit-chat about Jack's hockey takes as he points at the camera. Jack, take it away.
Gentlemen, there's a reason that the guest name is Doc Cock, because DOC came back today. A 2-year deal. Dubas again putting another solid bottom six forward in the Penguins lineup. Now, I might find this surprising. Used to be a Drew O'Connor hater to my core. Absolutely despised every time he was on the ice because his defensive awareness was bottom of the league bad. His goals per 5-on-5 even play was atrocious. His Corsi was bad. I don't believe in Corsi, but even whenever the advanced analytics are telling you on every front that this guy's bad in the defensive end, it might be telling the truth. And that was the case with Drew O'Connor in the beginning of the season. As he matured, as he got more reps on the fourth and third line even, some nights, he did get better. And he's also one of the fastest skaters you have. He's one of the hardest skaters you have. Losing Ryan Poehling, that opens up a role. Drew O'Connor is going to fit into that role that Ryan Poehling left. Because Poehling was, statistically, the fastest skater in the NHL. Yes, faster than Connor McDavid by a whole 0.2 miles per hour. So, this is Drew O'Connor's role to fit into. Be a hard-hitting fourth-line guy, maybe even third, put in some decent minutes, work in the corners, and if you hit him with speed in the neutral zone, he might just blow by defenders and get a scoring chance. And he's gotten better at that. Originally, his scoring chances went down because he would get them and he would flounder them. He had better chances. He was able to finish better towards the end of the season. I feel like he's going to turn into somewhat of about like a beta version of Brandon Tanev. Not Chris Tanev. That's his brother. He plays D. A beta version of Brandon Tanev. Not nearly as fast, not nearly as ferocious, but the same tenacity for hounding pucks, digging them out of the corner. He'll get there eventually, but I think this is good for the time being. I'm really excited about this. I was wondering if they could kind of bring him back. He's off of an entry-level deal, so this is good for them. It gives them depth. It's probably not even going to play every night with the amount of bottom six talent they've brought in, but it's a good start, and I wouldn't mind seeing him play a couple games over Lars Eller and Mikael Granlund from time to time. So I think this is good. I think this is good for the organization. Again, there's still a lot of talk around Karlsson. Last week it broke that there were 4 interested teams, Seattle and Carolina being 2 of them. And wholeheartedly, come around to this, the better landing spot for Karlsson is Seattle. Seattle needs a solid guy on the blue line. He would run their power play. He's a defending Norris Trophy champion, and his again, plus minus is bad, but once you calculate for inflation, meaning if you look at his 5-on-5 statistics, he brought the Sharks from minus 56 to even. Get rid of the shorthanded and empty net goals. This guy was as good defensively as you can be. There's a reason he won the Norris, and they didn't pay attention to his plus minus. Plus minus is a stupid stat for a defenseman on certain terms. You got to look a layer deeper, and that's what the voting committee does. So Karlsson is still a very good defenseman, offensively and defensively. I would love for him to come to the Penguins, but I actually, truly, in my heart, think that Seattle is a better landing spot for him.
Jack, I know maybe your ears are to the ground and this is a wrong assessment. I know maybe you're not hearing many things, but in your expert hockey fan opinion, when can we expect to finally hear something about where Karlsson's going to go? Because this has been ongoing for a very long time.
Honestly,
feels like it.
These next 2 months it could happen. Because the teams, I know the teams interested are going to be kind of just like feeling the temperature around it. No one's going to go all in because they know no one else has already gone all in. Right. When you're talking about general managers who not only are very knowledgeable about the player they're seeking, but guys who are not going to overpay for what they think they should give up for him. You have Ron Francis and Kyle Dubas in Seattle and Pittsburgh. And I'm pretty sure Tom Fitzgerald in Florida or Carolina. I know that one of the associate general managers under Rutherford is in Carolina right now. And Tom Fitzgerald and Jason Botterill were all in that room. Those are solid guys. They know what they're doing. And I also, again, I think that's what Dubas is going to do. Just have a small team of associate general managers while he retains the title, but not officially because of contract reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They're all seeing who plays their hand first. And until someone does, no one's giving up a price. Because obviously, every price that they've gotten back from San Jose was a general manager who says they want to win now. They just signed Carlson to all this money. This is a big contract to take on. You need to move some serious cash and personnel to bring this guy on. I don't know if Carolina is willing to pay that price. They have a very good D-core as it stands. I don't know if Seattle is willing to do it. Seattle would be the most willing team to do it. But the Penguins are in a very unique situation because you're going to have to give something up. I can guarantee you if this deal gets done, Brian Rust is not a Penguin anymore. Draft pick for next year, first round, if we still have it, probably gone too. And I wouldn't be that surprised if you're able to shoehorn the Petrie contract in, but I don't think they're going to want that. 2 aging guys, and it's a lot of money. So you look at your tradable assets, and in the beginning, there was a real danger that Gensel gets moved because he is the only tradable asset. I don't know if Dubas will do that because he's been committed to the immediate future of the Penguins after this transitionary period is over because it is coming. It's an interesting situation, but I don't think the Penguins will be the first to make a move. And honestly, a lot of players requested trades. A lot of teams have been interested. Nothing gets done. That might be the case here.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of hockey, you hear the music again. That means something's about to happen. And it is. It's the Rod Barajas of the week, where Ethan has gotten all but one right, and Jack has gotten all of them wrong.
We're
on the ice again. We're on the ice again, and I'm pretty excited about Jack's chances this week. And I think I accidentally gave like 2 more facts than I normally do. So I think the odds are in his favor, and I'm not trying to put any unneeded pressure on him at all by hyping it up this much. Anyway,
don't embarrass me.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. This man was a left winger, was with the Penguins 2012-2013 season, 2013-2014 seasons, where he amassed 5 goals total between those 2 stints.
Boy.
And his hockey career in the NHL ended with the Calgary Flames in 2017-2018. However, he did play in France, I learned, after that. Ethan, emphatically, this could be the...
I got it.
This could be crazy.
Shocked.
But
I'm shocked I got it.
Start with Jack whenever he's
start with
ready.
Jack.
But Ethan seems to be really confident.
Bastard. When did his career end?
2017-18 was his last year in the NHL, according to HockeyReference.com.
The last year he played with the Penguins?
13-14.
Shit.
Uh-oh. Family show.
This is why I'm not good at puck doku, dude. I do not know dudes. I can't name dudes. I thought I had it in me. I can't.
Do you have a guess?
A winger from the 13-14 team. That's the one that lost 3-1 to the Rangers. They were up 3-1 and they lost to that. Oh, no, I'm an idiot. Never mind. Yeah, I actually don't know.
Do you want to throw a guess out and just hope it sticks?
I know it's not Tanner Glass, so I'm not going to say Tanner Glass. That was my original guess. God. Who was... I hate my life.
Wow. That's aggressive for the Rod Barajas of the week. That is a response I never thought that would get out of either of you. I feel like he just lost his house. This isn't even fun.
It's over. It's so over. It's never been more over than it is right now.
Do you just want Ethan to go?
I mean, I don't think I have it now. Because the player that I was thinking, I don't think I got it. But
look, for the sake of dead air, Ethan, go.
I'll give it a stab. I mean, I don't think it's right, but is it Jerome McGinley?
Jack, do you want to lock anything in? I really think you should.
First off, was Iginla a winger? Did he play wing for the Penguins?
In like 2012.
I was 12.
No, it was 13. It was the year they got swept by Boston.
Do you want?
Okay,
to
so I was a year
something?
early. Never mind then. I was
Brendan
wrong.
Morrow and the Doug Murray.
Oh wait, shit! I got it. I think I got it now.
Go ahead.
Well, you
Is it
locked
Bo?
in.
Is it Bo Bennett?
No,
No.
Jack.
Yeah,
Jack, Ethan's
I think
been
he
wrong
ended
twice.
in New Jersey. Ooh. Oh God. It's not Jokinen.
I really think he's locking.
I don't know why I thought it was Jokinen.
No. Was it?
No.
I think it is. Did he end?
It's not UC Jokinen.
I think. Did he?
Is it UC Jokinen?
I think it is. Yeah.
I need you to lock in the answer.
What do you mean walk in the answer?
Lock and key. LOCK. Lock it in.
Jeff Locke?
No.
Jeff Locke. What the?
No. I just want you to say it's your final answer.
George LaRocque? I don't know.
Jack.
No, it wasn't UC.
Jack.
It wasn't UC.
What do you mean lock in the answer?
I wanted you to lock it in like this is officially it. That's all I wanted.
Oh, I thought that was an innuendo.
No.
That's
No,
what I
Jack.
thought.
The innuendo was when you said Tanner Glass, and I said you should really lock in an answer because it was
God.
Tanner Glass.
No! I swear to God he was on the...
Oh my God.
That was.
I
an
was
innuendo.
right?
Yes, you talked yourself out of the right answer.
Damn! Okay, that's fine.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
I swear, I thought he was on the 14-15 team that got like swept by the Rangers with Maxime Lapierre. It was the last team before the Phil Kessel era. That was when they fired Miles for Mike. No, Mike Johnson was the coach for that series. I don't even know. I don't know hockey. I don't know ball. I don't know puck.
This has been stranded in Pittsburgh
This is
The
the
worst
worst
bachelor party
party ever.
because of how it ended. We'll see you in 3 weeks.
There weren't
Take care of
even
yourselves
strippers.
until then.